When it comes to law enforcement, many people have different views, anywhere from how law enforcement interacts with communities to how they may treat people based on the color of their skin.
In light of recent events across the country involving police officers and communities, one question is raised here in North Central Florida. Do you trust law enforcement? TV 20's Nico Clemens is here to show us how Gainesville police officers work to build relationships with people in the communities that they patrol.
Dave Page, it's no question that over the last several months, there's been a strain between law enforcement and hundreds of communities across the country. And that occasionally has been the case here in Gainesville. In 2008, 3 off-duty officers were caught throwing eggs at people they claim were prostitutes and drug dealers in the Porter's neighborhood. So how do those whose job is to protect and serve build better relationships to where people can trust them? It was quite interesting to see when I rode with one Gainesville police officer.
Every chance I get, I try to just be a kind and professional person.
Officer William Goff is part of the Uniform Patrol Division at the Gainesville Police Department. On a normal day, he drives through the streets of Gainesville, primarily in his zone, the Romeo Zone, which is in the southeast section of town from Waldo Road and East University Avenue. Officer Goff watches for crimes in progress, looks for anything suspicious, and tries to have positive contact with people in the community.
I try to build relationships by interacting with folks when I'm not on an official call. So I go into the communities and I walk around and I ask people if there's anything the police department can help them with, if there's any crimes or any other issues that are going on that we need to be aware of that we can help with, and try to partner with the community in that way.
Just as much as police officers are there to help the public, Officer Goff says the public helps them as well. He says residents help alert them to crimes in progress. They see things, they know things, and they hear things that might be beneficial to law enforcement. And that's when those relationships come into play, Goff says.
They'll feel comfortable speaking to us about crimes that we may not have otherwise solved if we hadn't had their help.
But not everyone feels comfortable around police, and not everyone has positive interactions with law enforcement. And there are many reasons why, whether it be negative stories people heard about police as they were growing up, those small contacts that didn't go so well, or their skin color. According to a Reuters.com poll, 69% of African Americans believe the police do target minorities. 29% of whites feel that way.
They come through here like very often, but we usually when there's not even anything going on. So it's like, why?
20-year-old Gainesville resident Abasi Harvey says he's been stopped by police before. Why? He believes it's because he's black and has dreadlocks.
Sometimes I try to blow it off, but sometimes it kind of bothers me. I mean, it makes me not like police. I mean, I don't want to see them sometimes. It's like I don't want to be anywhere around them.
18-year-old Richard Selznick has been living in Gainesville all his life. He says he's noticed a strain between law enforcement and the people he knows, but at the same time, he finds that oftentimes if he's respectful towards them, it's much easier to get along.
I get a little uneasy around them at first. I find that after a little bit of time of talking to them, it's much easier to just talk to them. But first instinct, nervousness.
The officer-involved shooting in Ferguson took the world by storm back in August. In an ABC News Washington Post poll conducted in December, 48% of people approve and 45% disapprove of the grand jury's decision not to bring criminal charges against police officer Darren Wilson, who shot and killed teenager Michael Brown. If you break it down, 58% of whites approved the grand jury's decision, compared to 9% of blacks. 35% of whites disapproved the decision, compared to 85% of blacks who disapprove. Meet Gainesville resident Michael Anthony Tuggerson. He lives in the Pine Meadows neighborhood off of West University Avenue. When asked if he trusts law enforcement, he says he does.
Some people don't understand. If it weren't for law enforcement, you know how many people probably be hurt now, getting shot and murdered and raped and everything else in the communities. But see, the law enforcement now, they're pushing up law that come through these communities regularly. And that's stopping a lot of the crime that's going on, you believe me or not.
Coming up at 11, I'll have more of my ride-along, this time with an Alachua County Sheriff's Deputy. I'll also sit down with Sharon Ferguson. She is the mother of Omar Gibson, who was last seen with a friend here in Gainesville on July 24th, 2012. Police say there is no new information or leads in that case, And Sharon Ferguson says she doesn't believe police are doing enough to look for her son. Nico Clemens, TV 20 News.